everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. Well, do your gardening chores feel like they will never end? Mine used to too, until I started something that I called Trimming Tuesdays. So instead of me trying to do everything all at once each day in the garden, I devote a single day each week to a specific garden task. And today is Tuesday, so it's all about trimming. I'm going to take you along with me as I show you how I like to trim. And trimming can mean a lot of things, but what I'm talking about is how I like to deadhead, do some light pruning, and tidying up my garden. Doing this has really decreased my stress and increased the health and happiness of my plants. So I'm excited to bring you along today on this Trimming Tuesday. About a year or so ago, I published a video for you all on my organization of how I manage this 10-acre property. And each day of the week, I devote to a specific garden task. And of course, today we're going to do Trimming Tuesdays, but I'm going to start taking you along with me and showing you how I go about addressing some different kinds of gardening chores each day of the week. Because this is gardening, everybody. I know you've been taking in a lot of videos of me planting, and seed starting and all of that. And that is wonderful and exciting, but really, as gardeners, we know gardening really happens in once you get those gorgeous things in the ground or you've developed those seeds, you've got to take care of them so they're happy, healthy, so they produce the way that you want them to. And so I think over the next few weeks I'll be bringing you along on weeding Wednesdays, fertilizer Friday, and some other days of the week when I'm out here maintaining this. So I hope you'll come along in the next few weeks with me as I break down some of these tasks that we all need to do, but in a way for me that has worked and kept me organized and really reduced my stress. You don't need a lot for Trimming Tuesday in terms of supplies and materials. You need some pruners, maybe loppers if you're trimming some trees, but I leave that to my husband to do. And I'll be bringing my tub truck along, so as I make the snips and trims, I'll be throwing that in and carrying those things off to the compost heap. But before we get started, we're going to go in the raised bed garden and tackle that first. I'm going to invite everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. Doing that helps me grow my channel. It helps me connect with amazing gardeners just like you. And those of you that are already subscribed, thank you so much for being here. Just a quick reminder, I am a master gardener in the state of Missouri. I happen to garden in a zone 6 in mid-Missouri. Hot and humid summers, and it is so hot and humid this week. Oh my goodness. Like many of you, we are having a massive heat wave. We have had heat indexes every day this week in the low 100s. I'm out here at 8 a.m. and it's already a little toasty, but I am thankful for the breeze. So enough talk, let's get to trimming. I decided we would start in the raised bed garden with our trimming project because it's shaded at the moment. It's early morning and I've got a nice big tree here to the east that's providing us some beautiful shade, and I'm here for it. So let's get started. So this is, you know, a very mixed bag. Those of you that follow my channel know my raised bed garden is filled with herbs, veggies, and flowers. I believe in diversifying. I believe in growing lots of different things close together, brings in beneficial insects, brings in diversity and lots of pollinators, which we all need in our gardens. So we're gonna just start here and I'm just gonna take you along and do what I would typically do. So let's see here. I think I'm gonna start with, in the back row here, I plunked in some zonal geraniums. I had a whole bunch of geraniums in my greenhouse and I decided to pull most of them out and pluck them in and amongst my garden just to add some beautiful color. And so what I'm going to probably have to do is get the camera in close so you can see in terms of trimming where I'm going to make cuts for certain things, because it does make a difference. When I get to my herbs, I'm going to show you when you're harvesting your herbs either to use and bring in to eat, or I use a lot of herbs in my cut flower arrangements as filler. It does matter where you cut them, so I'll try to be specific for you on how I like to do that. Okay, so zonal geraniums, back to what I was planning for. All right, so let me grab the camera and get it really close so you can see what I'm talking about. I think my biggest challenge today on Trimming Tuesdays is going to be not to lose my pruners. Oh my goodness. I get these beautiful Felco pruners, and I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested. These are the 310s. These are my little snips. Fits my small hands beautifully. And of course they've got the red handles, but that doesn't mean it doesn't keep me from losing them. Okay, so you're gonna look at your geraniums, and this one is a little past prime. Do you see how some of the leaves or some of the petals have fallen? So I'm gonna take that one off, and I am going to follow the stem all the way down to where it meets the other stem and snip it off. That is the preferred method. You don't want to just come in here and lop this off at the top right there and leave that stem. You want to come down because, why? You don't want your plant taking nutrients from the soil and moisture from the soil and try to keep this stem going, right? That stem's never going to have a flower. So let's just get rid of that entirely. All right, here's another one. I'm going to go all the way down in here. Geraniums are cut and come again flowers, meaning the more you cut, the more energy is going to go into producing a new big beautiful bloom. All right, so that is geraniums. Let's see, I think we're going to move to basil. Let's talk basil. Beautiful purple basil here. There's so many different options, but basically you prune basil the same way, or you'll harvest basil the same way. And the best way to harvest basil to use in any application would be to come down. You come down from the top. You don't cut way down here at the base and take this whole thing off. You come down just like so many other things to where you come to a set of leaves across from each other on the main stem, and you cut right above it. You can come down as far as you want. I'm going to come right here and snip it right here. So I can use this in cooking, I can use this in floral arrangements, or I can just toss it in my tub trug and compost it. So again, that's the simplest way to do basil. Again, you don't want to harvest your basil by cutting way down here. You want to cut here, and then what's going to happen, just like so many other plants, it's going to start bushing out. So you're going to get a bushy, foliar plant with more stems. So that's all there is to it. So I'm going to do a very light prune on this one. So I'm not going to take it down very far. And in fact, for some of my purposes, for my floral arrangements, I actually will come way down and cut it because I want a long stem. Also, many times on my basil, I will let this flower because I want to bring in pollinators, or I want to use it in arrangements, and the flowers they produce can be awfully pretty as well. So I've moved to this other bed to show you a different kind of basil. Again, same process as I showed you on the purple basil, but you can see this is very bushy. This is just one basil plant. I think this is opal basil or holy basil. Holy basil, I think. Oh my gosh, if you all could smell it. Fabulous. You can see here, this particular one, I've let go mostly to flower. So that's what you're seeing right here at the top, all these little flowers, which will then set seed. However, one of the tricks I like to do is I like to cut back maybe half of the plant. So to trim back half and leave the other half to flower, and then so by doing that, the parts you're trimming are going to bush out and continue to produce more and more, and the other ones you can let go to flower and seed and use it either in your house in floral arrangements as decoration, or in this case, if I brought the camera in, which I'll try to do, there are the teeniest, tiniest bees. So the flowers are wonderful for pollinators. So in this case, let's say I would, I'm going to come down and just take off some, just like I showed you earlier, but I'm not going to cut back all of them, just a portion of the stems. And again, to keep your basil going, you don't want to come all the way down to the base and cut. You want to cut down a stem so that they continue to bush out. So let me just show you. I mean, that in and of itself is so pretty. That could go in with a little flower in a bud vase and really add to the beauty. So basil, again, best thing, easy to grow from seed, and so many varieties. So here we are at another bed. This is actually my pepper bed, but you can see Lots of marigolds that I grew from seed. These are French marigolds. They are the best type of marigold for you to grow in and amongst your veggies and your crops because they're pretty much the only type of marigold that scientifically has been sort of proven to repel bad insects. And so here they are. So let me show you how to trim marigolds. You don't have to, but again, anytime you remove spent blooms, you're going to encourage more flowering. I think I'll bring the camera in really close and show you which ones I consider spent, and I'm going to just pop those off. Nice close-up shot for everybody. So you can see this is a newer marigold. This one is a little bit older. This one is in full flower here. But if we look down in here, this one obviously is a spent flower. So I'm just going to come in, snip. You can use snips, you can use your fingers, whatever you want to do. You do you. But you see how these look very different. So yeah, what I'm not going to do today is make you all sit through me doing this a million times. I'm just going to go to different plants and show you the basics on each variety of plant, how I like to prune, and then after I finish sharing this with you all, I will be coming back and doing a complete prune job over here. And you can probably see a couple of basil plants tucked in here. Again, you can see how I've let this go to flower. And this one is just thinking about producing flowers. So again, I could come in here and come down to a set of leaves and cut this back so that it will stimulate the plant to grow bushier and bushier and produce more basil leaves. So here I have some snapdragons that I grew from seed, the Madam Butterfly. I'm not going to harvest this one today, but I did want to show you how to do that. So when you're harvesting snapdragon, again, you want to come down the stem, cut really low above a set of leaves and take it off there. What that's going to do is tell the plant, ooh, I need to create some more stems and more blooms. The other thing you want to keep in mind is, generally speaking, in terms of snapdragons, this one doesn't have a nice long flower spike, but what you want to do is you want to wait to harvest until the lower third has opened up and then the top is still tight, and they will eventually open up. And so you want to come down nice and low, snip, take it in, strip the lower leaves, and it will continue to bush out. Thought I'd pop over here next to the snapdragons and show you this plant. So these are chives. I love chives. I use them in, oh gosh, so much cooking. I use them in lots of salad dressings. Oh my gosh. I make a ranch dressing, homemade ranch with chives and fresh parsley and mint. Oh my gosh, nothing like fresh herbs for your salad dressings. But anyhow, okay, so chives. Chives are a perennial in my Zone 6 garden, and that means, if you don't know, they'll come back year after year. They can survive our harsh winters, which is amazing. I need to get in here, and you can see I'm just using my fingers to rake through the plant to pull out some of the dead chives. I haven't attended to this one in a while, obviously, but okay, harvesting chives, you can do it a number of ways. You could come all the way down. Let me see if I can get this so you all can see it. You could come down low on the plant, right, and snip it this way, or you could just take some from the very top. It will regenerate, so it's like a no-brainer. Now, you can see this has gone to flower. Isn't that pretty? So what I want to do is I definitely want to take this out because I want, again, it not to spend its energy on producing flowers, although flowers are great for pollinators. They are also great for cut flower arrangements. So you could let your chives go to flower. That would be perfectly fine to do that. What you don't want to do is harvest a stem from a flower when it's gotten this mature, because this is really woody and this does not taste good. It's too hard to chew. So again, you can choose how you want to harvest your chives or trim your chives in your own garden. So here we are at my tomato bed, and I must say my tomatoes are looking marvelous. I've already harvested, especially some of the cherries, the Sun Gold and Super Sweet 100s. I've harvested a few of the bigger tomatoes, but again, it's very early July here, and so they've got a ways to go yet, but you can see loads of fruit on all of my plants. In terms of trimming tomatoes, I've done videos before on tomatoes quite a bit. A couple of things though, since I'm out here on Trimming Tuesday, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my different tomato plants. Whoops, I just broke that stem, darn it. All right, well, I trimmed that and I didn't mean to, and that's too bad because it's got some flowers on there. Oh well, you can't have everything, right? But you want to come in here and you want to look at the base of your plant, and if you start to get some leaf spot, which is super common where I live, you just want to trim those off and toss them into your container. Just go ahead and remove anything that's got spots or is starting to yellow, and generally speaking it happens at the base and it works its way up. So I'm just going to pull out some of that. And then there's a thing called removing suckers, and I did that not too long ago, so I'm just looking to see if I can show you all again where the suckers are. Let me see if I can find one. If not, I'll have you check out the video that I did all about taking care of that. Again, here's some beautiful basil tucked in, basil and tomatoes. Great, it repels a lot of yucky insects. And I'm going to trim this. This one has gone to flower. Let's see if I can put it in front of me. You see there? So again, so many options for trimming. Well, we've made really good progress in the raised bed garden. I was glad I was able to show you a whole bunch of different types of plants and how to trim them. But it's time to step out of this lovely shade, and we're going to head over into some of my mixed borders around the house, and I'll show you some things that need trimming in that area. Oops, I just about forgot about my beautiful sunflower. So before we head over to the house and do a loop and look at the raised bed mixed borders, got to take care of these Suncredible sunflowers. First time ever growing them. I've seen people rave and rave about them, and I am sold. This is one plant, and look at the prolific blooms that it puts on. So happy. It's a branching sunflower. Some people choose not to deadhead, and that's perfectly fine. I'm one of those gardeners that I'm not fond of how that looks, so I'm just going to take that spent bloom off. I'm going to take it down to where it meets the other main stem or a set of flowers. You don't have to be super duper careful about how you do this, but you know, why not? The other beauty of Trimming Tuesdays is it forces you to get up and close and personal with your plants. And this is really a benefit to us and to our plants, because there's a lot of times that unless you're really examining your plants, you might miss things. And I was sure I was going to find some Japanese beetles on this plant, because here in the Midwest, oh my goodness, they are starting to show up. However, I have been faithful every morning. One of my new tasks, and I do this every day, is I go out to the things that Japanese beetles love the most, which in my case would be like things like roses or my hardy hibiscus. They want to attack those, and you're going to see actually one of my rose bushes that they attacked. And I try to go out every morning while they're still sleepy, and I take a little jar of soapy water. I come up, I find one, I toss it into the soapy water, and it is done for. And that is one of the things that I found in my garden that helps me keep on top of it. Now, I know that doesn't work in all gardens. Some years they're horrible, other years they're not. So far, I'm staying on top of it, but you know, you never know. Japanese beetles have a life cycle where I think 4 to 6 weeks they come out of the ground. They're grubs, they overwinter. There's something called milky spore. I've never done it, but I've read a lot about it. Supposedly you can spread something called milky spore all over your lawn, and you have to do that a number of times, but apparently that gets to the root of the problem. That gets in your lawn, in the soil, and makes it uninhabitable for grubs. But I have 10 acres, so So I'm not sure that's going to work where I live. So for now, I'm just picking off those pesky insects that love to destroy certain plants and tossing them into soapy water. So that's, I grab a cup of coffee and then I go out on a Japanese beetle hunt every morning. So that's how I spend my mornings. I don't know about you guys, but anyhow, looking better, right? I'm sure I missed a few, but you know what? That's all right. It's not about perfection. It's your garden. And in fact, I do know a lot of gardeners that don't even do this, and that's absolutely okay too. All right, it's looking a little bit better, I say. We've moved over to the east side of the house. It faces east, and let's take a look at this pot that is filled with gorgeous flowers. So in the center, I have a Proven Winners shrub rose. First time I've ever grown this. This is called Reminiscent Coral, and I wish you could see it in full bloom because it is absolutely gorgeous. The color of the flowers, oh, so beautiful. Got lots of new buds right here, but we've got a lot of spent blooms and blooms that I've actually kind of messed with because Japanese beetles love to tuck themselves into your roses and just destroy them. And they really mostly in my garden want to go into the actual flowers. And this particular coral, Reminiscent Coral Rose, it has a zillion petals, so it's really easy for those Japanese beetles to hide down in there. And so when I've seen them on my morning walkabouts to eliminate the Japanese beetles, sometimes I'll just snap off a bunch of the petals where I see them and throw them into the soapy water. So it's looking really raggedy, but it's Trimming Tuesday, so I'm going to take care of that. But look at this. We're not going to trim these. These are annuals. This is a new Proven Winners annual called Super Bells Double Grapefruit Punch. Oh, I'll put the name on the screen. But oh my goodness, you all. 3 plants is all I put in here. This is a huge pot and they have gotten enormous and they pair so lovely with this coral rose. So I'm going to bring the camera in really close so you can see how yucky the spent roses look and how I'm going to prune them or deadhead them. Alrighty, time to deadhead these spent blooms. So you can see here's one that I've already snipped off. Okay. In a perfect world, and you don't really have to do this with shrub roses, but I'm going to, you're going to take from the flower all the way down till you get a side stem that has 5 leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to cut right above it and toss that. That's all there is to it. You don't want to just lop off their heads. Again, when you come down to a set of 5 leaves, that will stimulate your rose to produce more flowers. Absolutely. And again, you might think this is tedious, but I actually love Trimming Tuesdays. Earlier, I mentioned how important it is to get up close and personal to your plants. You know, I come out here early in the morning on Tuesdays, cup of coffee, and turn on some tunes. And it's super meditative to just be out here and get a close look at your pretty plants. And who doesn't want more flowers? Oh my gosh, flower power. And pruning, deadheading will absolutely stimulate most plants into producing lots of flowers. Oh, let me show you this. So this is, do you see all the holes in that leaf? Yep, that's Japanese beetle damage. So they have definitely enjoyed these roses for sure. I'm going to bring the camera in. Let me see if I can grab it real quick here and just show you. Sorry about that, everybody. So do you see? This is loaded up. Now, some people are very fussy about their roses and they wouldn't really want to leave these big canes like so. They would maybe take it back to a set of 5 leaves so that it would bush out more. But I'm just going to let her do her thing because this is only her first season, so I'm not going to be too fussy about it. The other thing I think I need to make sure I share, and let me change the camera angle, hopefully you can see me. I want to make sure I share with you that one of the things you want to avoid doing when it's hot, when you're having a big heat spell like we are in Missouri, you do not want to do heavy pruning. So this is Trimming Tuesday, but I'm not coming in here and doing a rejuvenation prune and cutting things way back to the ground or shearing off the tops of my salvia or nepeta. I'm not going to do that because that's going to stress the plant out to the max and stimulate it to try to, recover from that cut. Light pruning is fine in a heat wave. Once your heat wave kind of settles down, if you need to go back and take care of some of those big, deep cuts and deep prunes, then that would be a really good time to do it. In this mix border, the only thing I'm going to trim on this Tuesday are my Monarda. And this is, I think, my first or second year growing Monarda, or better known as bee balm. And I have to tell you, I'm not a big fan, and I know some of you grow it beautifully. If you have experience growing bee balm or Monarda in a hot and humid environment like ours, please give me your tips and tricks, because my Monarda always wants to get powdery mildew, always. And I don't like the way it looks. And also, I'll bring the camera in close when I get ready to deadhead a lot of this. I can't stand how that looks. And I don't feel like my blooms last very long. So if you have some tips and tricks on growing Monarda that looks pretty and stays pretty, let me know. But maybe it's just that kind of plant that I have to prioritize on Tuesdays, that I've just got to come in and trim off the dead blooms. So I'll bring the camera in and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we are. Here's my Monarda. I have this purple and a pink variety and lots of spent blooms. So again, I'm just gonna take it down just a little bit, pop them off, and into the compost pile they'll go. Okay, it definitely looks better. So we've got some hostas going here, and a lot of them have sent up their flower spikes. Some of them are a little past prime, so I could come in here, and when I cut the flower spikes, I cut way down into the hosta plant. I don't want to, again, just lop off the top and then have this stick sticking out there. That's not very pleasing to my eye. Some people never allow their hostas to flower. Once they start sending up those flower spikes, they'll go in and remove all of them. But you know what? I kind of like their lavender flowers. In fact, let me pick this one just to show you all how pretty it is. I mean, I kind of think that's pretty, don't you? Look at that. So yeah, so I would only trim on Tuesdays the ones that are really past prime. Leave the other ones until they start to lose their petals, and then I would go in and trim those off as well. So I see a couple on this one that are past prime, so I'm going to go way down into the plant where you don't see any of the leftover stems and take care of those. All right, let's keep moving along and check out some other mixed borders and what might need to be trimmed. So we've made our way around to the front of the house, and not only am I trimming on this Tuesday, my husband is trimming 3 acres of lawn. So you might hear the mower in the background. Okay, so let's take a look at this. You've got my, I've got my arborvitaes, I've got my brand new, pufferfish hydrangea. Just planted that a few months ago. And then I put a bunch of annuals in, and this Rockin' Playin' the Blue salvia is stellar. Look at this. Oh my goodness. So some of the blooms are spent, but not all the way. So this is really, I'm not sure if I'm going to cut any of these bloom spikes away, but I am going to bring in the camera so you can see what I'm talking about. Hello. So I'm going to jump around here to the back side so I can show you. So you can tell that this one is probably the oldest bloom spike, maybe this one, because all of these little flowers on the sides have fallen off, but I've still got some bloom on the top. I could, just as an example, I could come in and take this way down. You always want to take things way down. I mean, look at this bloom spike. This is Rockin' Playin' the Blue salvia. It's a Proven Winners annual salvia, and it is spectacular. So I could do that, and again, doing this is going to stimulate this plant to send off more new bloom spikes. So I think I will take just a couple of snips of the oldest blooms. Pollinators absolutely love, 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 love this plant. It is loaded with bumblebees and the hummingbirds as well. Could not recommend Rock and Plain the Blue Salvia more. So we've nearly made a whole lap around the house with all these mixed borders, and here in the front of the house, this is west facing. I have just planted this year this dwarf buddleia called Pugster Blue, and wow, I mean, check out the blooms. They are so beautiful, so full, so big for a brand new plant that just has been in the ground maybe 6 weeks to 2 months. Oh, however, this one could be pruned off or deadheaded. It still has some flowers at the tippy top, but I'm going to go ahead and take this one just to show you. And again, I'm going to come right down here and snip off this one. It's going to say to the plant, oh boy, now let's put our energy, instead of keeping this alive, let's put our energy into these new stems that are going to produce big, beautiful blooms for the rest of the summer. So let's go over here to Pugster Blue's twin, and I'm seeing a lot more spent flowers, so I think I'll just do some quick trimming of this one. And I think Trimming Tuesday is just about complete. As I was making my way up here on our porch that's nicely situated in the shade of morning, I was realizing, no, I lied. We are not done with Trimming Tuesday, because this is something I've been wanting to trim. Okay, so I have another plant behind this strawberry drop coleus, and it is getting gobbled up by this coleus. I love the coleus, don't get me wrong, but my angel wing pink begonia is hiding out in the back. So I'm going to give this coleus a trim. I need to expose this beautiful dragon wing begonia that's in the back. And so I'm just going to take this back. This is vigorous, as you can plainly see. I'm just going to take this back quite a bit to hopefully the little bit of light and sun we do get here on the porch, I'm going to give it a chance to hopefully get back here and stimulate the growth of that begonia, because these angel wing begonias that I've grown here before, they tend to get about 18 inches to 24 inches tall and have a beautiful flower, but you can't see it because of the coleus. Now, you guys know I am a massive fan of coleus, although my garden is bursting, so I'm not going to do this. But if I wanted to produce more of these gorgeous coleus plants, all I would do is take these cuttings, I would stick them in water in a sunny location, and in about 2 weeks, lots of roots, and then pop that into the soil, and this would produce a whole nother identical plant. It's called propagation, and I do this a lot, and it can really save you money if you purchase just one plant and then propagate. Again, Proven winners, you know, I love a lot of their annuals, and they trademark or have patents because they're plant developers. So you would never ever want to propagate and try to sell things. That is a no-no legally. But for the average home gardener just wanting to expand your plants in your own garden, it's perfectly fine to do that. So yeah, so I shared this back pretty good. I'm going to go over there and do that one, and then I think we're going to wrap it up for today's video. All right, let's make way for that dragon wing begonia. I want to see you back there, and I can't at the moment because this strawberry drop coleus is taken over. Don't be afraid to give your plants a trim, everybody. Oh my goodness. They are much sturdier and stronger than we give them credit for. You're not going to hurt a plant, especially like coleus, by doing these kinds of trims. Not a bit. In fact, it'll just stimulate, like you've learned already, the plant to produce more side shoots. So do you see the dragon wing begonia? Isn't that pretty? I want to see more of her. And so let's give her a little breathing room. And yeah, I think that is way better. So strawberry drop, as the name implies, has been bred to go up and drop down and be somewhat of a trailer. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. Well, I hope you enjoyed coming along with me today on Trimming Tuesday. I hope that you'll think about what can you do to manage your garden, because gardening is supposed to bring us joy. It's not supposed to stress us out. That is not the point of what we're trying to accomplish in our gardens, unless you're a commercial grower, which I am not. I am just your average home gardener here in Missouri. Yeah, so stay tuned. Some videos that I'm going to be publishing in the next few weeks. I'm going to take you with me on other days as I tackle Weeding Wednesday, Fertilizer Friday. Mondays is usually Make a Plan Mondays, where I really survey all the things I need to get accomplished in the garden. But this method for me has really reduced my stress, reduced my feeling of being overwhelmed on this big property, and increased my pleasure and joy of gardening, which isn't just planting plants, it's taking care of the plants you have planted. So until next time, I wish everybody out there happy gardening.